Of the love you left inside my lonely heart, to weave by picking up the pieces that remain, melodies of life, love's lost refrain. Our past days did close, now I cannot say just why. We met, we left, we held on fast, and then we said goodbye. And who'll hear the echoes of stories never told? Let them ring out loud till they unfold. In my dearest memories, I see you reaching out to me. Still believe that you can call out my name. A voice from the past, joining yours and mine, adding up the layers of harmony. And so it goes on and on. Melodies of life to the sky beyond the flying birds, forever and beyond. So far and away, see the bird as it flies by, gliding through the shadows of the clouds up in the sky. I've laid my memories and dreams upon those wings. Live them now and see what